Old Nan is quite possibly one of the most mysterious characters in all of A Song of Ice and Fire. You know what? I take that back. There are probably hundreds of mysterious characters in A Song of Ice and Fire. Old Nan is one of our favorites because of all of the information she seems to know about the past and the future. In this video, I want to discuss an Old Nan / Hodor theory that everyone may have missed. Because you guys are so freaking awesome, I am actually having a giveaway for a $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is slap a like on this video, make sure you're subscribed, go ahead and turn your notifications on, and then check out the gleam.io link pinned in the top comment of this video to go and enter all the different bonus ways. The winner will be selected on March 13th. Now, when I was doing research for this video, obviously I looked at all the different stories that Old Nan has told Bran. If you want a little bit more into the back history of who Old Nan actually is, click the link and go watch this video right now and then come back to watch this one. In that video, I go a little bit more in depth on who Old Nan may be as a person. In this video, not so much. One of the stories that she tells Bran was the one of the last hero. This is one of my favorites because this obviously relates into modern day Game of Thrones, modern day A Song of Ice and Fire, as well as the novels. Legends of the North state that the last hero and his companions went in search of the children of the forest during the long night. Thousands of years ago, the only survivor of the company after attacks from giants, whites, and the others, the last hero eventually reached the children and gained their assistance. The Night's Watch was then formed and won the battle for the dawn. This ended the generation-long winter and sent the others into retreat. They possibly went north of the wall to the lands of always winter. The fate of the last hero is unknown. So when reading this story, it all kind of makes sense now. Like a giant light bulb went off in my head. What we're seeing when Bran is watching the Night King become the Night King is this is his due payment. This is what he has to, this is his sacrifice in order for receiving help from the children of the forest. They need someone to lead the White Walkers north of the wall. They maybe have previously killed their last leader, and the White Walkers are just kind of hanging around, and the others, you know, obviously with him. So what if this is not the Night King becoming the Night King because the last Night King was killed, and now we need someone to lead them back north of the wall to the lands of always winter? What if this was the last hero's last sacrifice, if you will, in order to receive the help that he did from the children of the forest during the original long night? It would make sense if the children of the forest would help, obviously, the first men, because they wanted, you know, what was everything that's special about Westeros was being destroyed by mankind, especially since you had the Andals coming over. The timeline for the show can be convoluted, and the Andals could have came over, you know, during that long night. So you had the first men fighting with the Andals, destroying the continent of Westeros, and the children of the forest felt like they had to step in. Maybe them stepping in was creating this ice army, and we do know that ice preserves everything. So what if their goal was to just kill everyone, keep them preserved in ice, and maybe eventually bring them back? Alright, I forgot to say this, but remove the tinfoil cap, and let's continue on with this Old Nan theory. Now, a lot of people think that Old Nan could be a few different characters. I personally think that she is secretly Sheer a Sea Star, and I go into in-depth in that in my last Old Nan video. But she may also actually be Tinsel Tootal, which is a character from the Dunk and Egg novels. She's a Dornish puppeteer that Dunk seems to take a liking to. And if this is the case, it would make sense because, well, for one, her character is stated as having giant's blood in the novels. This would mean that explains why Hodor is as tall as he is, but also she tends to know a lot of information about Dunk. If you remember in that scene that I played at the beginning of this video, one of the first scenes we see her in Game of Thrones, she actually mentions to Bran that she will tell him stories about Dunk, which is one of Bran's favorite characters. Obviously, Bran says, no, my favorite stories from that you tell me are the scary ones, but the information is all there as to why she knows so much about Dunk, because she could secretly be Tinsel Tootal. Another idea that she may hail from Dorne comes from when Arya is on her journey, she mentions that her name is Nymeria, and you can call her Nan for short. So a lot of people think that Old Nan's original name is Nymeria, which is a famous Dornish name. There are a few other clues that go along with that, but honestly, some of the most obvious, in-your-face, all of the signs point to Old Nan being someone of the North. She knows all of these old mysteries. She knows a lot about the old gods. She knows all the old stories. And everything about her seems to point of her originally heralding from the North in Westeros. So if this is the case, it would make sense if she was a wildling or just someone of the North. She knows so much about this back culture of the old gods. And the way that she's describing these ice spiders as big as hounds and all of these other things that come with the long night, it's almost like she's seen them firsthand. So if she's a wildling from north of the wall, this could totally be the case, and this is why she's trying to convince Bran so direly and not just telling these stories. She's trying to let him know what to expect. And there's actually a moment when Bran tells Old Nan that he hates her stories. He hates, everything about what she's telling him. This is when she explains to Bran that these are not just her stories. These are stories from the past, present, and the future that is yet to happen. If this is the case, then when she was describing the original Long Night, was that not to prevent the dawn from happening? So if that's the case, maybe the White Walkers never got past that wall. Maybe they never came down into Westeros. Maybe what Old Nan is describing to Bran here has yet to come. She knows who Bran is, she knows what his path is, and she knows that he's eventually going to have to help prevent another Long Night. But this time, the Night King is maybe more successful. Maybe these giant spiders the size of hounds come into Westeros. Now you're probably like, how does Old Nan know all this information? She can't just research it in books and just realize this. And she's also not necessarily a green seer. We do know that a lot of the Stark children in the novels, and Bran in the TV show and in the novels, and then Stark from the past are related to the first men who intermingled with the children of the forest, so maybe that green seer gene was passed down to them. But I don't think Old Nan is a Stark. I think Old Nan is either a wildling or she is a sea star. One thing that is, however, confirmed for Old Nan, on the TV show at least, is that she sees this transformation, this drastic transformation, happen to Hodor, who's seemingly a normal boy up until this event happens where Bran works him from the past into the future. If this is the case, I'm pretty sure this was a traumatic experience for Old Nan, and it likely caused her to do some research. I mean, just think about it. You're sitting there in the Winterfell courtyard, or standing there rather. You're telling your last living relative. At these moments, no, Hodor wasn't her last living relative, but he was one of them. Her sons ended up dying in Robert's Rebellion and in a Greyjoy Rebellion. And by the time we catch up with her to current events in the first novel and in the first season, Hodor is her last living relative. So if you look at the events that happen, Hodor falls to the ground shaking and his eyes turn the same color as they do when someone is warging. Old Nan is far from a fool, so I'm pretty sure this made her pick up books and start reading. One of the stories that she tells Bran could kind of signify that she was on a path searching for anyone who had, in the history of Westeros, or in the North rather, anyone who's had something similar to maybe what happened to Hodor. One of the stories she tells Bran is a story of Simeon Star Eyes, who is a character from the original Battle for the Long Night, who was blinded and shoved gems into his eyes, and he would fight with this blade, or this staff rather, that had two blades attached on the end, and he would walk around chopping, almost like Darth Maul from Star Wars. But that's besides the point. The fact that she knows of a story like that can maybe signify or show us that she was actively looking into research to what exactly happened to Hodor. When doing her research, I'm sure this is where she originally comes across all the stories that she tells Bran, like the Rat Cook, the story of the Last Hero, the story of the Long Night, and the Night King. And maybe she finds out about the Three-Eyed Raven. Maybe she realizes that there's a wise man north of the wall that can maybe give her some questions or some answers rather, to the questions that she has about what happened to Hodor. If this is the case, and I'm correct here, Old Nan may have journeyed north of the wall, saw Bloodraven, and this is how she knows everything that she knows. Obviously, she looked up the stories through research, but the Three-Eyed Raven confirms all of these stories, lets her know that they are true, and also lets her know that there's a Bran, and explains what happened to Hodor. Maybe she realizes that this small sacrifice that she has to make of having Hodor being simple-minded, her last living heir basically being brain dead, maybe she becomes sort of okay with that once she meets Three-Eyed Raven and he explains to her of this greater purpose. Hodor has this connection with Bran through time. Like, we do know that Bran was the person who caused Hodor to be the way that he is now, and why he continuously says Hodor even though his name is Waldor. He says this because he ends up dying holding the door for Bran in the future, but also dies in the past. This is so complicated. We do know that Hodor was in the show for a long time. He was given a season break, and then he comes back with Bran. Then he ultimately dies, and we did not see him at all in season 7. We saw other giants walking with the Night King. We saw the Night King have freaking an ice bear and an ice dragon, but we just haven't seen Hodor. The main reason why I think we haven't seen Hodor, and why I think his name is still of significance, is because his story's not done. It's definitely possible that his character can be gone for a season and come back. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to say that Hodor didn't die. He definitely died. But the Night King is controlling him right now. And the reason why I say right now is because Bran has this connection with Hodor. He spent several seasons with him, traveling to the Wall, and then finally north of the Wall, and then he worked him back in the past. Bran has an insane amount of connection with Hodor. I would not be surprised if the Night King puts Hodor on the front lines, or just puts him in a position where Bran can see him. We do know that Bran is constantly trying to spy on the Night King and constantly getting kicked out. The Night King likes to play mind games, so it would only make sense for him to put Hodor in a position for Bran to see him. If this is the case, I believe that with Bran's newfound three-eyed raven powers and all of this research and under the water seeing that he's been doing in the Weirwood net has allowed his powers to increase tenfold. This will allow him to break the control that the Night King has on Hodor, and he will use Hodor to hold the door for Jon Snow and other companions, allowing them to escape or to finally come in and kill the Night King. I honestly wouldn't be surprised that Hodor's essence and spirit is trapped inside his mind, which is inside the Weirwood net. So one of the last things, or the last great deeds Bran can do, is hold the door for Hodor to be released into the afterlife. Maybe he's trapped in that Weirwood net and Bran has to somehow rescue him, and then the role switch where Bran has to hold the door while Hodor escapes. Now, okay, it's safe to remove your tinfoil caps. Now, sort of wrapping this all back around, I honestly would not be surprised if Bloodraven started speaking, or Three-Eyed Raven started speaking to Old Nan early on, because he knew how important it would be for her to tell those stories to Bran, and that honestly she would be one of the only people that's able to take care of Bran once he gets paralyzed, because most of Bran's parents and relatives leave Winterfell, leaving Bran for himself. So if this is the case, the Three-Eyed Raven could have been infecting her dreams early on, which led her to go to Winterfell and study up on all of these stories of the old gods and of stories of legend. We do know that he has done this with Bran, so it's not completely out of question. Here's something that I didn't really want to fit into this video, because I may do it on a future Old Nan video, but basically, in this scene that she has with Bran, like one of the first scenes we have with her on the show after Bran's been paralyzed in episode 2, a crow shows up at the window and starts sort of hawking at Bran. We all know now this is foreshadowing for the fact that Bran would eventually come to Three-Eyed Raven, eventually travel north of the Wall, and go and meet this person living in a cave. Well, as soon as the crow cocks and caws, Old Nan says all crows are liars. Now, this line also exists in the novels, and this leads people to believe that she knows who Bloodraven is. I, of course, am one of those people who think that this leads to the fact that she's had some sort of interaction with the Three-Eyed Raven. We do know that he has a lot of mysterious motives in the novels, but if my theory is correct, maybe Old Nan did all of what she did because the Three-Eyed Raven promised her that if she did these things, maybe that would lead to saving Hodor. We do know that Hodor turned out the same way, so this could be why Old Nan says that all crows representing the Three-Eyed Raven, why they're all liars. It could also mean that she's had some interactions with brothers in black. We do know that she may possibly be a wildling from north of the Wall, and if this is the case, when she was staying in Molestown, perhaps she had some altercations or interactions with some brothers in black, and this led her to not trust the Night's Watch as much as one normally would. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. The like goal will be 420, so please slap a like on this video. Also, if you would like to be entered into my contest to win this $100 Amazon gift card, all you have to do is make sure you're subscribed, turn your notifications on, leave a comment down below, and then check out the gleam.io link pinned in the top comment of this video to go and enter all the different bonus ways. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews, especially to Terry. If any of you all are watching and would like to show your support to my work, all you have to do is check out the link right down here or check the link up here, and that'll take you to my Patreon page where you can go and show some love. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunts Revere. Oh yeah, little Easter egg. For those of you wondering, I'm super amped in these videos because I always record 90% of the audio right after I've had my first cup of coffee. So, there's that.